My next guest is familiar to many MSNBC viewers, a man back on the scene because he's running for Congress. Dylan Ratigan was a financial anchor at CNBC. He came over here to host the Dylan Ratigan Show, where he advocated for reform of the banking system. He left in 2012. He was calling to get money out of politics. Here he is on the Rachel Maddow Show discussing his book. You see him there. The book was Greedy Bastards: How We Could Stop Corporate Communists, Banksters, and Other Vampires from Sucking America Dry. Now Ratigan is running for Congress, and he's challenging a Republican incumbent. I want to note we have invited that incumbent, Elise Stefanik, on the show as well, and look forward to having her on for the conversation as well. Joining me right now is Dylan Ratigan, my former colleague, and in full disclosure, a friend of mine. Thanks for being here.
Nice to see you. And to clarify, I'm actually running against an extremely impressive field of Democratic primary opponents right now for the opportunity to challenge representatives.
It's true. You have a lot of primary opponents. And the seat here has largely been held by Republicans. There are, as we'll put up for the benefit of the viewers here, many Democrats in this race. Why do you, after everything you've done, want to be in Congress?
It's very simple. I've been advocating for political reform and jobs, as you know, for years. When I saw what they did with the tax plan this year, or last year, I guess it was, it was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. The lack of seriousness. Tax policy dictates whether resources go into our communities or leave our communities. New York 21 is a community that has historically had twice the national average unemployment. New York 21 is a district that has benefited from labor and organized unions protecting firefighters, teachers, the Alcoa plant. They've suffered from the manufacturing losses that really drove a lot of the disenfranchisement that we saw both in the Bernie Sanders supporters and the Trump supporters. And I'm running to confront once and for all the political corruption that has created a system of government that doesn't work for the American people. And the greatest symptom of that is the lack of jobs in districts like New York 21.
Well, you mentioned the tax bill. We'll put up here, we were looking at if you do run against the incumbent here, Elise Stefanik. She did vote against that tax bill, right? She did vote basically against Trump on Russia sanctions. She voted on some of the energy company issues.
How many jobs has she created? So we can play policy games all we want.
Well, I guess my question for you is, how different are you going to be than her if the argument is she's already standing up to Trump on that issue?
The issue for New York 21 is not who's standing up to Trump. The issue, excuse me, with New York 21 is, are there good jobs in the district that allow people like me that grow up in that district the opportunity not to have to leave in order to find that opportunity? We're lost in an unserious conversation, Ari, with all due respect. We go back and forth around these issues, but we're not actually resolving America's problems, which is that we are not seeing the protections of our workers and our labor in this country. We are not seeing an investment in districts, rural districts, especially like New York 21, and we are not seeing the creation of jobs in those districts that's necessary. And the reason for that is because we're not having the serious conversation about how to reform our government to make it work for the people of districts like New York 21.
And is that for you about campaign finance then as well?
That's about the primary process. This is a closed primary. This should be an open primary. Everybody should be able to vote in this primary. It's about gerrymandering. This is a gerrymandered district. In order to win this district, you must capture a significant percentage of independents and Republicans in order to pull it off. This is about campaign finance as well, in terms of distributing the money that gets spent and where that money comes from. In other words, getting money, more small dollars. But it's a combination of those things. Until you create the candidates that can have the serious conversation, you are never going to solve the problems that are taking away the jobs. My number one problem with Representative Stefanik, and I'll shut up, is she's a career politician who's part of the system and has not done anything to confront that system or create jobs in the district.
I got to ask you, because we happen to like each other, at least I like you, but it's part of my job. Knowing you in this race, one of the biggest questions that may come up is temperament. I want to show some of your other life. Here you are on, including MSNBC.
It is the reason the financial markets are behaving the way they're behaving. That is a mathematical fact. This is not some opinion. The $4 trillion plan that kicks the can down the road for the president for 2017, or burn the place to the ground, both of which are reckless, irresponsible, and stupid. Our politicians do not understand that they make laws that create total imbalances. This is a waste of time. Everybody's trapped in that marketplace to print that money and still maintain available financing because there's nowhere else to go.
Question.
Yes.
Are you that guy and they should put that guy in Congress, or are you now going to be a different kind of guy if you get to Congress?
Everybody learns to harness the anger. When you have the intimacy of the knowledge of how corrupt our political system how broken it is, and when you see the pain, again, my mother worked at Essex County Mental Health. This is the other end of the spectrum. When you see the suffering, the real-life consequences that people suffer as a result of the unserious and reckless nature of our government, it can create anger. The reality is you have to learn how to channel that anger into productive solutions, which is what I've done in founding Helical with the veterans and what I'm doing right now with the congressional campaign.
Dylan Ratigan, thank you for coming by and taking the questions.
Pleasure.
I think this will be an interesting race to watch.